Hello. Nice to see you today. So we have Frank over here, Jernigan, and
Hi.
down there is Fatima from Portugal, and below me is Inbal. Where are you from, Inbal? Tell me again.
Israel.
Israel, yes. And so we have an international
Hello.
group here. And today is August 14th, and I'm in Bakersfield, California, and it's still really hot here, over 100 degrees. But we're getting closer to the end of our summer, thank goodness, only about another month left. So we've all been working on our Franco.com sweaters. I don't know, Frank, what do you call them?
Franco sweater.
Franco sweater. We've all been working on
And
our
it's
Franco
the
sweaters.
Franco sweater
I've
pattern
got
on
mine
raglan.
nearly finished. I just need to add the neck. I'll be showing it to you in a little bit. So let's see who's on here today. So we have 37 Vega Lira from Foggy, California. You must be closer to the coast. Sue McVicker from Pennsylvania. I love people telling the weather. She says it's overcast there. Francoise from Cannes, a French Riviera. Elizabeth Nielsen from Sweden. Marie Tobita from New York City. Susan Day from Newcastle, Washington. Rona Shane from Southern California. Judith Andres from Michigan. Mary Inman from Atlanta, Georgia. Jane Hart from Wisconsin. Diane Sinclair from Ontario, Canada. Anjali Bhagwat from India. Arlette Garcia from Ontario, Canada. Bradley Trahan from Peachtree City, Georgia. That just sounds so lovely to me. Jacqui Rickles from Bakersfield. Kelly Mycat from New Hampshire. Lizanne from Benicia, California. Thea Stewart from Massachusetts. Cindy Dupont from Redmond, Washington. Deborah Harris from Cincinnati. Joy Green from Norfolk in the UK. Kay Baker. Katharina Continental Combined from Germany. Luana Hendricks from Missouri. Vicki Esther from Plymouth, Michigan. And Pam Zumwalt from Oregon. Hello, everybody. It's good to see you. So we're going to start right out with Frank. Frank has some interesting things to tell us, so we're going to start with him.
Yes, this is the big announcement. Today I launched the 2 new necklines for the sweater. Anyone who has purchased the crew neck pattern can download their pattern again, and at the top they'll see a way to switch that pattern to either a round neck, which is a deeper crew neck, or the scoop neck, which is a 5-inch deep rounded neckline. And you can switch back and forth until you decide which one you want to work with, and then just work with that one. I'm going to allow this switching back and forth for some limited time. I'm not sure how long, but I wanted everybody who had purchased the crew neck, who is unhappy with the depth of the crew neck, who would like a deeper crew neck, to be able to switch their pattern and get another pattern that will satisfy that desire. So that's why I'm allowing it to be switched back and forth for a while. And I also stated in the place where you do that switch, it's right in the box, right at the top of the pattern when you download it online. It's in that box that disappears when you print it. So you have to click it while you're online. I also say there that the 2 new necklines are all harder, more difficult to knit than the crew neck, the original crew neck. The original crew neck is shallow specifically because I wanted to avoid having to do simultaneous sections of the pattern at the same time. So you finish the crew neck sweater, the crew neck neckline, before you start the sleeve cap shaping. But in order to do that, the crew neck is up high, like this t-shirt I'm wearing that I got from Ireland and I just love. The deeper rounded necks that I just released all go so far down that you start the sleeve caps before you have finished the neckline. And Inbal will tell you because she's one of the test knitters, that greatly complicates the pattern. You have to understand how to work two completely different sections at the same time, taking one row from each section every time you go by. So two of the three test knitters had difficulty with that. Inbal is an experienced knitter, and even she had difficulty. Kay Baker, who's also online, had some difficulty with it. And Cindy Dupont, who's also online, seemed to breeze through it because she'd already done the V-neck sweater, which works the same way. So that's about it. I'm just really excited. This took a long time. I've been developing it for several weeks, and there's been a week of working with the three test knitters, and it's been really fun online with them to interact and answer questions. And they had lots of good feedback. I made lots of small changes and a few absolute corrections that were things that were just wrong. And so I think it's worked out really well. I'm really happy with it. I hope you all are too.
I love that this is a work in art, a work of art in process.
Yes, it is.
That is just, and it's so fun for everybody to participate and feel kind of a little bit of ownership of it. Do you know what I mean? That their input.
How many pattern designers get to interact with the people who are working their pattern and figure out what they're having trouble with and improve the pattern? That is such a rare opportunity, and I just love it. I love being able to get that feedback, make changes, make it clearer, fix mistakes, and have it all presented again in a better fashion. So
yes, exactly.
I published patterns for a while in the magazine, Cast On magazine, and got no such feedback. In fact, I never knew if anybody knitted any of my patterns, and there was just no way to find out because they didn't know how to contact me from a magazine. It's just really exciting to work with you all and to have this interaction.
And it's the positive feedback, because the thing is, when you publish in a magazine, usually the only time someone tries to contact you is if they're having a problem,
Right.
And so it's not necessarily positive feedback. This is so rewarding because it's, like I said before, it's your baby. It's like people walking up to the stroller and going, "Oh, what a cute little baby you have."
It makes me feel just like that when somebody says, "Oh, I love your pattern. It fits so well." It's just like that.
Exactly.
Well, not quite like that, but it's similar.
Exactly. So let's go to Inbal, and I'm going to spotlight her, and she's going to talk about her process so far.
Yeah, so I told Frank because I was a little bit afraid of knitting this pattern because people ask questions and you talk about it and you explain things, and until you really make it, you don't really understand what exactly you're talking about. So it sounds so complicated, but I was amazed to see it's like magic. It's so simple. It really is simple. And I don't know why the mistake that Frank said, it was like I read it and yet I didn't do what it said. I mean, it was all written down. So it was really my mistake. The pattern was good, but I loved it. I love the way it's described row by row, and I love the way that it works out. And it's like you do a little thing and another thing, and you connect it, and it just comes out. I only have just a little bit of the shoulders, but to see, like you actually see the seam of the shoulder, and it's so cool to see that it looks like something you saw, but you didn't, but you just did it in a round. So I love it. And the reason I ripped it out is because I have another crazy plan. Yeah, I can't do just a simple plain thing. I have to go crazy. Oh, by the way, I'm wearing my finished design.
That is
Yeah.
beautiful. Beautiful. Your summer version.
The summer, I'm needing the winter version as well to have the long sleeve in that gauge. But my plan for Frank's sweater is this. So all of this part, this is gonna be interlock.
Wow.
Yeah. And guess what? I've never done it.
How are you going to get the sleeve caps to have the right shape?
So I thought about it and I thought about it and I processed it, and then I realized I don't have to follow exactly the pattern like row by row, because you can't increase 2 stitches in a pattern that, you know, made out of 5 or 10 stitches. So I figured I just need to know this. Okay, I need 10 centimeters around the shoulders. And so I go to the pattern and I see how many stitches you add in that 10 centimeters. It doesn't really matter where you add it.
That's true.
So, yeah, so I guess if each row is like 2 centimeters, and I know that I need to add, I don't know, 10 centimeters wide, so I can distribute it somehow. I'm not sure yet how. Either I'm going to add in an increased row, I will need to add like 1x in 2 places, or maybe just add 1 stitch to all of them. I don't know. I need to probably swatch and play with it and find out.
Exactly. And you know, that's the same thing that you would do in, let's say you were working, let's say you were working a yoke and you wanted to put a certain design in and you didn't want the design part to be interrupted by the increases. So you just move them up or you move them down. Do you know what I mean? You move them to wherever you can fit them in and maintain. That works. That idea works very, very well. You know, they don't have to be sequential. They can be grouped, you know, as long as they don't interfere with how the fabric looks. Good ideas. Good ideas. You are so, you think way outside the box. I just love it.
Yes. Inbal, can I show the picture of the test knit sweater that you've been ripped out? I have the picture before you ripped it out.
Okay, let me get to Frank.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, let me see if I can share this. Yes, there it is.
Oh, yes.
That's the scoop neckline. You must have done an extra wide neck as well. Is that right? Did you put in a wide circumference of the neck?
I did it exactly, but the mannequin is smaller than my size.
I
so
see.
Maybe it looks bigger.
Oh, so that is the scoop neckline, and the I guess that's gray or brown part was just added to finish the neckline as a test to see that the pattern was working.
Looks
So
good.
that's not actually her design. That's just how the pattern works. That's all.
Yeah, I thought that this is where I'm going to start the interlock, but I think I want it higher, so I ripped more.
Okay. I just thought it'd be fun to show that.
Yeah.
So, other than that, Inbal, what are you working on?
So I'm working on writing the pattern. I've written the pattern for the satin sleeve shirt, and I had a tech editor that changed a lot of things. Like, I was very fussy about things because I didn't want to cut yarn. I wanted to just make it in one row. But then she said, it's so hard to understand what you want from the knitter. They will abandon, they won't need it. They won't understand it. So I changed the whole thing, and now I told you, it's like a domino, because when you change one thing, now the charts are wrong, and now the stitch count. And I just, I hope my test meters are not that mad at me that every day they get an update. Yeah, I still need a small size tester. Didn't find any. If anyone wants.
So how would someone contact you if they want to volunteer for the small size test knitting?
They can find me at Ravelry, maybe, Inbal, Gross, Inbal.gross.art.
And what size are you intending for the small? Like, what is the bust circumference, or what do you know?
It's a small size is, tell you. I think it's 84 centimeters. Wait, I have it all.
So on Ravelry, your Inbal gross.
.art. The Inbal.gross.art.
Okay. So
yeah, size small is 82 centimeters, 32 inches.
Okay, so people can contact you if they want to be a test knitter for the small size.
And they can also make it a winter yarn, because soon they'll have the long sleeve.
Yes. So this is the trials and tribulations of designing and adjusting the pattern. It happens to everybody. You know, it's just part of the process, because, you know, it's so exciting when you knit a sweater, a new design, and you want to publish it. And then you get it done, you know, the sweater's done and you've written the pattern. You feel like, oh, you've got the majority of the work behind you. No, it's just beginning.
Yeah, but the thing that I feel like the most frustrating thing is that I know that people are knitting it, and I know that they will have to rip it out.
Yes.
Because of my mistakes. So
I know.
I feel bad about
There have
that.
been times when I've almost felt like purchasing new yarn for people because I feel so guilty, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like, oh my gosh, you know, they've been using their yarn and their time, and I made a big mistake, and then they're going to have to do all this over, you know. Yeah. Yeah, but that's part of being a test knitter, you know.
It's so fun. Testers ask me, can I upload picture? And I'm like, of course. It's so much fun to see people. I guess Frank is experiencing it as well, to see people making what you invented. You know?
Yes.
You just thought about something and people want to do it, and they do it, and it's different yarns and different colors, and it's so much fun to see.
Okay, so we'll have you back again. I'm going to switch over to Fatima now. Okay, thank you, Inbal. It's very interesting. I love hearing that stuff. So, Fatima, let's hear what you're up to now.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here again. And it's a pleasure to knit Frank sweaters. I'm already on the third one, and I will continue to go. And first, because it's a project that is easy to follow, and as much more we go inside of different style of the sweaters of Frank, and much more we knit, much more we learn. Knitting, it's knitting, but also ripping back. And normally, I must say that in any project that I did along all of these years, at least I restart 3 times. This is the average. So the point is that I finished this one 2 weeks ago, as everybody knows. That was one beautiful thing that I did, and thanks to Frank and to Suzanne. And as promised in that time, I start. This is cotton and bamboo, and this is 100% wool. And this is a crew neck. This was a saddle. This is a crew neck, and according to the project, according to the pattern, we just cast on on one of the shoulders, and we do the two at the same time. And a good thing, a tip that Frank suggests is to mark the right side, in order, otherwise we become completely lost after the third row. And then we pick up the stitches and we make the shoulder at the back. I did, but now I want to do something else, and I rip out and I start again. And my idea was to make separate the front and the back. And then I thought, okay, I will leave open and I will make three needles bind off at the hand with a different color. And but then I was talking a few days ago with Suzanne, and she said, but you can make the high cord on before. And I said, oh, such a great idea. It's exactly, I follow the advice. And first I make a high cord cable, and I with provisional cast on, and I left live stitches at the bottom, and then I pick up stitches along the edge here and here, and I start to follow the pattern of Frank. And then will be more or less according the pattern itself, the directions, except because this crew neck will be not a sweater, but will be a cardigan open on the side. Of course, this is a test for myself, for my tension of purling and knitting. This also will be a good exercise for that point. And I will try to give my best. And then we'll be more or less stockinette stitch until the end. And because this is the yarn that I am using, and I had not enough to make this, because this officially would be for a vest, but then I decided to go to make a cardigan. So the factory where I bought, they have the same color, but not the same lot. So I decided to order, and I will join with this exactly on this, and will be here on the side and the necklace around. And I will make some rounds again in the middle here in order to divide and to follow the other. The other will be a little bit darker than this, what is a very good idea. Even I'm very happy because we'll make like a second part a little bit darker. I'm quite happy that the lady alerted for me about that. We'll see it at the hand with us, and we'll be more or less plain. And I'm thinking just to make here a kind of small detail at the hand in one color or the other. But this is my first draft. But maybe I change. But anyway, I will try.
It's going to be beautiful. That's exciting. I love it. So let's talk about that for a minute. So how many times, like you said, average you cast on 3 times before you start? That's about right for me too. 3, 4, 5 times. And sometimes I get to a certain point and I rip out completely because I change my mind. And, people often say, but you're such a good knitter. Why do you rip your knitting out? And the thing is, I tell people the better the knitter you are, the more ripping out you do. Because you see that the effect that you're trying to achieve is not happening. And so you rip out and you try a slightly different way of doing it to try to get the effect that you're looking for. And I don't have any problem ripping back. I feel this is another thing that I tell people. I say, okay, so let's say you used to pay $25 for a skein of yarn. And you knit almost the whole skein. And let's say it took you maybe 10 hours to knit that whole skein. So that's $2.50 an hour cost for your entertainment of using that skein. But if you have to rip it all out and start over, now it's only costing you $1.25 for your entertainment. Much cheaper. You're getting more value for your yarn. Let's say you go. Yes,
for
you're
your
getting more
knowledge.
mileage out of your yarn. And not good yarn, you can rip it out 2 or 3 times and it still looks good. I've never had yarn get, in fact, in the classes that I teach, I use my yarn over and over and over and over, and it still looks pretty good.
Yeah. When
Um,
I did this, I started this 3 times.
yes, yeah.
This one I start 3 times.
This I started several times before I got my these the way I want them, because I started with the wrong row in the chart. I thought it was the right row. On the chart, it looked okay that I started on that row, but when I started getting it knitted in, I thought, no, I want to start on a different place in the chart, But, you think about buying a paperback book that might cost $10 and it might take you how many hours to read it, and then it's done. Knitting, you spend $25 or so for a skein of yarn, and it may take 7 or 8 or 10 skeins for your sweater, but you got many, many hours of entertainment, and you have a finished product. You have a bonus at the end. So ripping.
Happier, because if you are not happy at the beginning and I don't rip out, and you go on and you never, with me happen, I will be not happy at the end. If I rip out, I spend maybe 3 evenings or something like that, but I will be much happier at the end.
Yes. I just want people to know that it's okay to rip your knitting out. It's okay. And you're not a failure. In fact, it's just a hoop or just a hurdle that you're jumping over to get to your end result. That's all it is. So
I forgot to tell you, I'm sorry, that something that I want to introduce in this is the pocket.
Oh.
But I go from top down.
Uh-huh.
I will make a different way of the construction of the
right. So I have the instructions for that pocket written out top down and bottom up, because I've used it in all of my sweaters, top down and bottom up. So if you don't have the top down, I'll send them to you if you'd like.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
There's a question that came up for Fatima.
Oh, yeah.
37 Vega Lira asked, she said, "Thank you, Fatima, for the great info. Will the I-cord shoulder remain there? I'm unclear of the purpose of the I-cord at the shoulder."
Is to make a nice edge here on the top, instead to be, because according to the pattern, we just cast on and then we pick up on the other side, and is invisible as Inbal did, and we don't see the connection between the two, the way that is done. But I thought, okay, I shall make something, because I need to add 2 colors, and here on top will be completely a little bit pale, a little bit monochromatic color. And I thought that introduce here a little bit of color would be to keep attention a little bit. Otherwise, we'll go to keep attention more down. And so I decided to. This will make, I think, for me, and then the necklace will be around exactly also in the same color. And keep attention a little bit to this part, because I think that is the most elegant part of a garment, mainly for a lady, I'm sorry. Anyway, but for men as well, but for ladies, it's like a kind of decoration, instead to put a collar or something. You just have I like simple projects, simple patterns, and with a small detail, just I think.
It's just like the neckline on the sweater that you're wearing.
Exactly.
It's in a second color. It didn't have to be in a second color. You did that as a design element.
Yeah, exactly. Everywhere.
Yes.
And it was not be necessary, because I had enough cotton to make this, but otherwise I consider that would be a little bit monochromatic, and I just like to introduce a little bit. And here probably I will make a flower or something in this color or another color, or I don't know. We'll see it later.
Yes. And, it's an embellishment. You added an embellishment. Yes. And it serves a dual purpose. It also served as the seam line for your shoulder.
Yes.
So, because you could have put an I-cord on afterwards, right?
Yep.
But why not start right out with the I-cord?
Yeah, fantastic idea.
Yeah. So that's what that's about. Does anybody else have any questions, Frank? Did you see any other questions?
I did. Rana asked about the depth of the V-neck and how does it compare to the depth of the scoop neck? So what I did was I went to my own patterns that I've created over the months and clicked on a bunch of them. And another feature I added is every sweater now shows how deep the neckline is. So I could compare several different V-necks. Almost all of them were almost exactly 5 inches deep. They ranged from 4 7/8 to 5 1/4. Of course, it depends on your row gauge, and it also depends on your neck width. Those were all sweaters that fit me, and they were all either DK or worsted weight. The depth will be different depending on those two parameters. And then I think people are also asking how deep is the rounded neck, and it varies. The crew neck itself varies a lot from a little over 2 inches to almost 3 inches, and the new rounded neck varies from about 3 to 3 3/4 inches. I saw one that I did that was I think 4 inches, so it was almost the scoop neck. You just have to try them and see what you get. And because the schematic tells you the depth of the crew neck, or the depth of the neck, you can choose different styles before you buy it and see how deep the neckline is, and then go back and change the design type to a different style and see what that is. Though right now you can only actually choose the crew neck. You can't choose the round neck and the scoop neck before you purchase it. But if you choose the crew neck, you know that the round neck is going to be a little bit deeper, and the scoop neck is going to be almost always about 5 inches, as close as it can get to the number of rows that is.
Good to know. And so now you can see it on the schematic.
That's right.
That's very, very helpful.
Except for those two. You just have to know that they're about 3.5 and 5.
Right, right. Good to know. So I'm going to share my sweater where I am right now. So I've finished the sleeves, and I'll stand up. So I've got my eyelet pattern down around the bottom, and I've got it coming down over my shoulder. And I loved the idea of knitting top down because I wasn't exactly sure. You know, the sleeve length can totally change how your sweater looks. And it's between the length of the sweater and the sleeve that makes the look. So let's say you have a crop sweater and you make long sleeves, that looks really good. Or if you have a longer sweater and you have 3/4 length sleeves, that looks really good. But if you knit your sweater and the sleeves to the exact same length, it doesn't look so good. Or in my opinion, all of this is my opinion. Everybody has their own. So on this, I knew that it wasn't going to be full length sleeve because see, that would hit about the same place as the bottom of the sweater. And I like this length of the sweater. I think that that's the perfect length for me. So I wasn't sure exactly how long the sleeves would be. So every once in a while I tried it on, and when it got down to about here, I just really like it. I feel it's like perfect. It feels so comfortable. And this sweater has 2 inches of ease. And it's really, really nice. I love the way the shoulders fit. I love the armhole shaping. Now I have not put the neck on yet. And you could see that if I did add an inch, it would be up here and it would feel like it was choking me. But what I'm going to add, and I was going to try to get it done before the live stream today, but then I thought, you know, I'm not going to rush that. I'll probably make a mistake if I rush because I was going to do it between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock today. And I got all the stitches picked up and I thought, you know, I can hold off on this. It's not that important. What I'm going to do is pick up stitches all the way around. And I have to do it in broad daylight because this is really dark yarn and it's very small yarn. And then I'm going to purl a row. And then I'm going to work a row of knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over all the way around. and then I'm going to purl a row, and then I'm going to bind off. So I should get eyelets like a necklace all the way around the top of my sweater, and it should only be about that tall. So it shouldn't make it feel like it's choking me. But I absolutely love the fit. I already have in my mind what the next sweater is going to be, and I'm going to use that purple yarn that I was choosing between. But the next one is going to be, this is the saddle. The next one is going to be the seamed shoulder, or the plain crew neck shoulder. But I'm going to make it all lace till about down to this point right here. So it'll be lace all the way around the tops of the shoulders. And the situation there will be that as I start the shoulders, I'm going to have to plot out where I'm going to start the lace, so that by the time I add all my neck stitches, that the lace meets properly here, that I'm not off in the center. So most likely what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some knitter's graph paper, print it out to my stitch and row gauge, and I'm going to actually draw the neckline based upon the pattern that I get from Frank, draw the stitches on here, and so I can figure out where my lace will start on the shoulders.
You know which of the necklines you're going to do?
I'm going to do the middle one.
Yes.
Yes.
I call that round neck, or
Yes.
the deeper crew neck?
Not the deeper crew neck, crew neck, but not the deep one.
Not the scoop one.
Not the scoop one, the deeper crew neck. Because this, even though it looks real good on here, there's no edging on here yet. And the top of my throat right here is right here. That's where my throat is. And I don't particularly like things pressing against my throat. It makes it feel like it's choking me. So I think that one will be just right, because then I can add more of an edging to the neckline. 37 Vigalera said, are you going to do a picot bind off? I could do a picot bind off, but and you know, I just did that video on the picot hem, which is not a picot bind off, it's a picot hem, but it gives that little scalloped look on the edge. That looks pretty on a neck too, but this is really super lightweight, and it would be very, very small. I don't even know if it would be noticeable, because this is lace weight yarn, so it'd be very itty bitty. So any questions about anything we've talked about so far? Post your questions over there. Chris, I have my saddle lace insets ready to go, and will shortly be downloading the newer necklines, probably the middle one in depth. Would an I-cord neckline work as a finish? In my opinion, yes.
Excuse me. If she purchased a saddle shoulder,
Oh yeah.
there is not an option for switching. I did not work on the saddle shoulder pattern. I only worked on the crew neck pattern.
Okay. Yeah, so, but this is saddle. So this is the regular crew neck on the saddle. An I-cord would work on here just fine. That is a good option. And one of the things that I do, I mentioned last time, instead of an I-cord, because to me, an I-cord takes a bit of time. You're knitting those little bitty shorts, and either you can knit back and forth, or you can turn. But it takes time. What I do that looks very similar to an I-cord in the effect is I pick up all the stitches, and then I purl 2 rounds. I purl 2 rounds, and then I bind off. And what it does is the reverse stockinette curls to the back, and it gives you a rounded edging to the back, and it gives the same effect as the rounded edging of an I-cord. It looks very nice. I've used it on a lot of sweaters. Anybody have any other questions they want to ask? I want to tell you I have another guest coming on at 1:45. Her name is Jacqui Ingstrom. She lives here in Bakersfield, and she's going to talk about a completely different topic. She's going to talk about knitted knockers. Have you heard of knitted knockers? Do you know what they are? Knitted knockers are knitted breast prosthetics for people who've had mastectomies. And here in the United States, they are very, very popular. And in Bakersfield, we're probably one of the biggest producers of hand-knitted breast prostheses. Our guild has made probably more than 1,000. And women, breast cancer survivors really, really like them because they're made out of cotton, which breathes, does not get hot, doesn't make you sweat, and they're very lightweight. And it's funny because, and this is a story I told at we won an award one year in our city. Our guild won an award. It's called the Beautiful Bakersfield Award for our breast prosthesis that we made. The manufactured ones, the commercially made ones that your health insurance covers, they are made to resemble a breast, including the texture and weight. And when I gave the acceptance speech for the Beautiful Bakersfield Award in a big, huge conference room full of people, I said, who on earth thinks that once a woman has her breast removed, that she wants that heavy thing replaced back on her chest? And people just laughed. They never thought about that. You want something that resembles your body shape so you can wear clothing and it looks nice, but it doesn't mean that it has to be heavy, hot, and sweaty. So the women love the knitted knockers. And we have a contest in Bakersfield every year for embellishing the knitted knockers. And Jacqui's going to be on here in a few minutes, and she's going to show you some of the embellishments that we've had, but we want to open it up to be an international contest this year. Not just, we've had people from all over the United States enter our contest, but we've never had any international people enter it. And she's going to have some examples. Let me see where she is right now. And she's going to show you some of the previous examples that people have entered in the contest and the winning entries, and it's pretty amazing. So does anybody have anything else they want to talk about the sweaters? Oh, and while we're on here still, next week I'm going to have a special guest, a master hand knitter from Finland, and his name is Lenny Pearl, and he's going to be on here next week. And the week after, I'm going to have Donna Eston, and she's going to talk about the new designing course that she's going to be teaching through TKGA. So Jacqui's on here now. I'm going to add her to the spotlight. Frank, I'm going to drop you off.
Okay, before I go, could I just say one thing?
Yes.
You mentioned the saddle shoulder is how it compares to the crew neck. It is always deeper than the crew neck. It's probably closer to the mid-sized neckline anyway.
Right, because of the saddle. Because of the saddle.
The saddle pushes it down, and it does do shaping simultaneously with the sleeve caps.
Yeah.
So I did some comparisons, and sure enough, the same sweater is deeper for the saddle shoulder than it is for the crew neck.
Okay, so we'll see you next time, Frank. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been wonderful to be here and be a part of this.
It's been fun. Okay, bye-bye. So this is my friend Jacqui. She's an RN here in Bakersfield. She works at, she's a breast cancer advocate in our cancer center here in Bakersfield. And she has headed up this knitted knockers program for 5 years now that we've been doing it.
Yeah. Well, we started it with the Guild to get knockers to the patients in 2016. So it's been 6 years we've been doing that. But the competition, this is our 5th annual.
So I'm going to turn this over to Jacqui, and I'm going to let her talk about our knitted knockers program, and she's going to show examples and solicit you to submit for our contest. Okay?
First of all, I'm going to show you the plain knockers. These are the knockers that are knitted. They are soft, comfortable breast prosthetics that are given to our patients after they've had a mastectomy. So you see there's lots of different sizes. We go from cup size A to cup size E. And they're light. In the Bakersfield heat, when it's 100+ degrees, they're much more comfortable for the ladies than wearing the big heavy silicone prosthetics. So we always provide these for our ladies free of charge. So each year, to raise awareness for knitted knockers and breast cancer, we have what we call a knitted knocker knit off. Try saying that fast. So we challenge our knitters to make knockers in any kind of yarn they want to, any style they want to, and get as crazy as they want to. And we put them on display in our cancer center every October to raise awareness. So I'm going to show you some of the previous entries. So this one was a gnome and his home. And this one was, we got, that was entered in our first year of the competition, which was in 2017. This one won for the most creative last year. That's Booby Yoda. So this one was last year too. And this was COVID, I can't smell the flowers. So got some little googly eyes here. Lots and lots of creative things. Some of them have been sent away to other competitions for the National Knitted Knockers group. But this one is Cancer is Utterly Bull. And so we have lots and lots and lots of knockers that get submitted each year. And we've had them as far afield as Georgia, as Charles Gandy submitted some to me, and we sent those off to the national competition too, and in Texas. And so we'd love some of your Suzanne fans to make some crazy knitted knockers for us this year and enter them into the competition. So Suzanne's going to send out an email to all of you to let you know all the details and the application form if you'd like to take part. So, and I can answer any questions anybody may have.
Yes, does anybody have any questions? So also she has posted in my Knitting with Suzanne Bryan group, she has posted about the contest also. The information is there if you want to get it. And I will put it down once this video goes on to YouTube. I will put the same information down in the description below the video on how you can get the information for creating these and the pattern for making them. And as she said, in the pattern, it suggests specific yarns, which are cotton, because those are for comfort. But if you're going to knit one that says artistic submission for our contest, it doesn't matter what the fabric is. It could be knit out of VHS tape. You know,
Yeah,
it could be knitted out of anything, and then
these
embellished.
obviously won't be worn. You couldn't put this one in your bra.
No,
that's... You could, but you might look a little funny.
So if you have any questions, be sure to ask, and we'd like to really get some submissions, and maybe we could post some on here when they come in. We could show people what's been submitted.
Yes.
You have until October 1st. October 1st is when they need to be sent in to Jacqui. And if you live in other countries, you know, it takes time. But if you mail it off and she hasn't received it in time for the contest, if you also send her a photograph, she can use the photograph. Okay? Yeah. We just want to, and it's really, the whole thing is about bringing awareness for breast cancer and breast cancer survivors. That's what it's all about.
And when we get all of them in, we'll post them on Suzanne's Facebook page too, so that you can all vote for your favorite. Because every year we have a People's Choice Award. And so patients come to the cancer center and they all get to vote on their favorite ones. And then we post them on our pages too. So it's a lot of fun. And with it being our 5th year, our local community is very supportive of it. And they love this annual knitted knocker knit off.
About how many knockers have we made in Bakersfield, do you think?
Over 2,000 knockers we've made easily. It could even be more than that. I think I have 2,000 knockers on hand.
Wow.
And we've also sent them over to other places in California too. Actually, I've given them to people in the UK as well as outside of California. So they're always free to anybody who needs a knocker. So
and they get them for free.
Anybody that needs them, let us know.
They get them for free. Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. Okay, I'm going to let you go, Jacqui. Thank you so much. And I'm going to talk about adding pockets as an afterthought. Thank you, Jacqui.
All right. Thank you.
So I said at the beginning I was going to talk about afterthought pockets, so I'm going to talk about that now. I'm going to go to my other camera. Let's see what we've got here. Come on. Oh, I guess if I turn it on, that helps a lot. Okay, let's see now. It was off. I've got it in position, but it was off. Here we go. So This is just a sheet of paper and my pencil. There are different ways to make afterthought pockets, and these are the beginnings. I'm going to do a whole series of videos and written information in a class and written articles about pockets in general. And these are specifically afterthought pockets, which I thought would be good to talk about for this sweater. So this, of course, is a horizontal pocket. And these are two versions of the same horizontal pocket. And there is a slight difference between them. You can see this one looks a little bit raised up here. This one looks really flat. Other than that, they're exactly the same number of stitches in rows. This one I knitted as a patch, like, well, I just sewed it onto here, but just a separate fabric. It's a patch. I knitted this as a patch. Finished it off, blocked it, everything, and then I sewed it on to the background fabric. And I sewed it on in such a way down here that it conceals the cast on edge, and that's what that little bump along there is, the cast on edge. And if you look at it from the side, you can see that the fabric actually comes forward a little bit there. This is the exact same thing, so that's why I didn't knit a patch. Instead, I picked up stitches through the fabric here, and I knitted this one on. It's knitted on. And so there's no cast on edge here, and it gives you a very, very flush fabric. If both of these were the same color as the background yarn, it would be hard to tell that they were afterthought pockets. They would just look like pockets. This is the same thing with a vertical pocket. You can tell this one is the patch. You can see how it stands up from the fabric a little bit. And this is one that's knitted on, and then you use kind of a Kitchener bind off here. But other than that, they're exactly the same. And these are things that I'm going to make videos on each one individually. But there's also another style, which I haven't knitted up yet, and that is a diagonal. So if your pocket could be like this also. And you could do it as a patch pocket or knitted on. And what I'm going to do on mine is this is where it opens here. You need some sort of edging here, and the edging can be garter stitch in this case, or it could be a little bit of seed stitch, or it could be an I-cord edge. I think for mine I may make an I-cord edge, but I'm going to use my little lace pattern to fill in this area here. So it'll give a little bit of lace on the front of my sweater, and I'll put one on either side. Now let me tell you how, let me go back to my main picture here and show you how I determine where to put my pockets as an afterthought pocket. I put my garment on, and I put my hands where I think I might want the pockets. I think right here would be good. That's just where my elbows bend, my hands go there. And then what I would do is I take and I mark it. So I'm going to mark the top of my fabric. I'm just putting a double pointed needle through here. And I would mark the bottom where my hand is. And you can outline it with my double pointed needles. Then I lay it down and I take basting thread and I mark that area around where my hand is. For example, on this little swatch, let me go back to my camera. You can see this is my little teaching swatch, but I based the area in first where I'm going to place the pocket, and in this case it would be a diagonal pocket. So then I would pick up my stitches here and I would knit it on like this. And it's very easy. Another way you can make an afterthought pocket is you can have your main fabric, and I don't have a plain piece of something without something on it, but let's pretend we just have this background fabric. This isn't on here. Let's say you want your pocket to be more invisible. You can figure out where the top, outline the pocket. Again, you outline it on your fabric with the basting thread. Then you would cut one row here and unravel it this way and unravel it this way and put all these stitches, these on a needle and these on a needle here. Then you would come to the back, and instead of picking up stitches on the front, you would pick up stitches from the purl bumps, and I have a video on this called Picking Up Stitches from Behind, and you would knit it up this way, attaching it to the purl bumps here, and then you would Kitchener the top of the pocket lining with the fabric. So this would be all one piece, the lining and the fabric, and then when you're on this side, you would have your live stitches remaining across the top of the pocket, and you can finish those off with a little bit of ribbing or a little bit of seed stitch or an I-cord or something similar to that right across the top, and you're done with your pocket, and it's not interrupting any of your main fabric. You'll still be able to put your hand down in it. You can't do a vertical pocket that way because you would have to cut so many rows. It would almost be like steeking. You could do it. Yes, you could do it. But it would be a lot more work because you would be cutting all of these yarns here. You would have to secure them, and have to do something to cover up where you cut. Of course, it could be under the edge and your pocket could come over across it. But those are just some ideas about adding pockets. Anybody have questions about any of that? Okay. The breast prosthesis pattern, the knitted knockers, I will post a link to it down underneath the description of the video once this gets up onto YouTube. So that's all we have to say for today. So I hope you've enjoyed this series of knitting with Frank and I. It's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to cast on my next sweater. Even 2 or 3. I just have so many ideas to do with this. It is so fun. I'm going to put Frank back on here. It's just been really fun.
It has. I've really enjoyed this so much, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping get the word out about the Phrancko sweater, and it's just been such a joy to work with everyone. And I've had so many good ideas, and the whole idea of providing these 2 new necklines came out of this knit along. I found out that women really prefer a deeper neckline. I mean, the original one was just like this t-shirt, you know, it just goes right around my neck. And that's how my sweaters are.
Yep.
But it's been a wonderful experience for me as well.
Well, what's been really cool is from a male perspective too, you know, because women wonder how to knit a man's sweater.
Yes.
You know, because we're used to knitting our necklines the way that we want them. We like them a little bit more open like this, you know, whereas a man might not want his sweater open like this. So that it's a two-way thing. Now, 37 Vega Lira asked, can you make a deep diagonal pocket as an afterthought pocket? Absolutely. You just knit it that shape. If you want to do a patch, you would knit the patch that shape. Or, again, you would start and knit up the horizontal portion of it and then knit the diagonal portion. It's a 2-phase project. Yes, you can do that. And that's going to be included in, I'm doing a whole series. In fact, this is going to be published in Cast On Magazine. My series is going to start in the winter issue. There's going to be maybe 8 or 10 in the series about pockets. And starting with the afterthought pockets and then getting more into depth of the different types of top pockets, embellishing your pockets and all kinds of things.
And please do come join us for our weekly knit along. It's not a live Zoom or live stream like this one. It's actually about 15 or 20 people who get together and just enjoy sharing their progress on their Phrancko sweater. And that meets in 1/2 hour.
Yep, at 2:30. Yep.
2:30 Pacific time.
Yep. So anyway, thank you for following along with this whole thing. I hope you come back next week and see my interview with Lenny Pearl, and I have several other people lined up in the weeks after that. And happy knitting, and enjoy the rest of your summer. Okay? We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.